The first round of the NHL draft will be held tonight in Nashville. 17-year-old Conor Bedard is expected to go first overall to the Blackhawks. The Anaheim Ducks will pick second, while the Blue Jackets have the third pick. The Leafs will select 28th overall. Well, for more on this, let's go live to TSN Bardown's Julia Teixeira. Thank you so much for joining us, Julia. Obviously, no surprise here who's going number one. And let's talk about the hype behind Conor Bedard entering into the NHL.
Yeah, there couldn't be more hype surrounding this guy. And just based on conversations we're kind of having around the office and around hockey right now, it's interesting. It feels like there's almost more hype around Conor Bedard than there has been around any other prospect. Of course, he's being compared to guys like McDavid. He's being compared to guys like Crosby. But the amount of fanfare around Conor Bedard, he has this swagger to him, this quiet confidence. He goes out and he just performs. We saw what he did at the World Juniors. We saw what he did in the playoffs. And in the regular season for the Regina Pats. So everyone really excited about this guy and excited to see him as a Chicago Blackhawk next year.
Yeah, he's probably stealing a lot of the thunder from some of the other draft picks. But let's talk about who else is expected to get drafted and what team they might end up with.
Yeah, 1, 2, and 3 in this draft. These players are so talented that it's almost a lock. So Adam Fantilli, good Toronto boy. He's going number 2 to the Anaheim Ducks. He's a great power forward with Michigan. He's got a complete kind of game that looks like it's ready to go right into the NHL. And number 3 to the Columbus Blue Jackets is going to be Leo Carlsson. Carlsson's this big power forward too, and Columbus has so many great prospects in their pipeline, so he should be a really good fit there. The place where there's really intrigue in this draft is all around Matvei Michkov. And Matvei Michkov is a Russian player who 2-3 years ago, he was put in the same breath as Bedard all the time. In fact, at the U18 tournament they were in before Russia was banned from international tournaments, it was actually Mishkov that was the MVP of that tournament, not Fantilli, not Bedard. So people have questions as to where he's going to land because he was the only prospect that didn't show up to the prospects tournament in Buffalo, and he's doing interviews and different things now with different NHL teams. But I think that's where we're going to get the most intrigue tonight, is who is going to get Matvei Michkov, this very mysterious guy who could potentially be franchise altering.
Well, let's talk about the Leafs. We know that they're picking at 28th. Originally, that pick belonged to Boston, was involved in a trade with Washington. But, I mean, obviously, the Leafs need to draft somebody. Any idea who the Leafs might pick up, and what does this first pick mean for the new GM?
Yeah, well, we always add a disclaimer around the draft time, because if you remember the draft last year, there was trades happening on the floor, left, right, and center. So we don't know what Brad Treliving and Brendan Shanahan have up their sleeves for tonight. But if they do end up picking 28th overall, that pick that they are set to tonight, it could be someone like Quentin Musty, which people around Toronto would be familiar with. He's an OHL player, went first overall to the Sudbury Wolves in 2021. He racked up points for Sudbury this year in the O. So look out for potentially Quentin Musty to be a guy that the Leafs could pick up tonight.
Well, from what we were hearing, Treliving was mentioned that it's a fairly good bet that the pick won't be traded. So we know that they are going to use that draft pick. But also, when you look at historical, draft picks that have gone high in the 20s, Nick Foligno comes to mind. He was drafted 28. So you never know who you can get.
Yeah, it's true. Quentin Musty, I mentioned he went first overall to the OHL in 2021. He's a really exciting player. I think he had over a point per game this year in the OHL. So definitely a guy that the Leafs could turn into a really good NHL prospect and player if that's the direction, in fact, they decide to go.
Well, we appreciate your time. TSN Bardown's Julia Teixeira, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.